Good evening, everybody. Hopefully you had a good Wednesday today. Hopefully technically everything is all right, because last stream I was talking a couple of minutes to myself, but now everything seems good. I can also see my sound bitrate's good. Technically everything should be all right, so we're set for a good stream. Talking a little bit about taxes today. Not that much, to be honest. A little bit. What we're doing today, hi Sherlock, what we're doing today is trying to increase your income. And isn't that what we all want, right? Just a little bit more money. Usually this works in two ways. Either asking your boss for a raise, which is kind of difficult right now, right? Maybe many of you are still on Kurzarbeit and the economy is not that great, so asking your boss for a raise, pretty tough right now, and it's also inefficient. Why? Because in Germany, if you look at your payslip, you see it, there's a big difference between gross salary and net salary. So you might have a high gross salary, but your net salary is only a fraction of that. There's many ideas among the expert community what you can do and how you can game the system and how you can get away with not paying taxes, and I hear all of this all the time, and there's funky comments on our YouTube videos. But the first tip is, don't fuck with Finanzamt and our tax office, and don't fuck with Social Security. Just follow the 10 easy and legal ways we're gonna talk about today to increase your net income, and you'll be fine. No need to trick the system and go to jail. I think this will gonna take us today, let's see, 30, 45 minutes, whatever, depending on your questions. We're not doing this live stream for us, we're doing this live stream to bring value to you. So if you have any questions, let me know. I have an eye on chat. And if there's nothing anymore, then let's start with the smallest tip, and come to the biggest tip at the end. And I also brought you 5 bonus tips today, so we're actually going to talk about 10 tips today. Some of them might sound stupid, or some of the rules we're going to talk about might sound stupid to you. They sound stupid to me as well, but I don't make these rules, right? I'm just here to educate. I don't make the rules, the government makes the rules. So, talking about education before we start, please do not make any financial decisions based on what you hear today. This is only entertainment and education. And if you do make financial decisions and you lose money, don't sue me. And special disclaimer today, since this is a tax, this has taxes, I'm not a tax advisor and I never will be a tax advisor. If you need a tax advisor, let me know, I'll hook you up with somebody, but we don't offer tax advice. And we probably never will. We'll see what happens, but probably not. If you want to follow along for today and see what kind of tips you already have and what you may improve on, go ahead and grab your payslip right now. This is our standard German payslip from Heinz. That's our example today. All of them look more or less the same. We'll go through a little bit of these payslips, so if you have one of yours, grab it now. And then you will see at the top your gross salary. So this is what you agreed on with your employer. Our guy Heinz has 4,900. Out of this, he has to pay 550 euros in taxes, 980 euros in Social Security, other deductions. So at the end of the month, he gets a payout of 2,868 out of his 4,900 that he agreed on and that he's actually working for. So maybe you feel like this guy after a 41% deduction from your payslip, and that hurts. I get it. And I talk to a lot of expats who tell me it hurts, and I understand. What can you do? Well, you can talk about with your boss about a salary increase. Problem is that here in Germany, salary increases are pretty inefficient. So if your boss gives you a €100 raise, he has to pay 120 because he has to pay 50-50 of your social security contributions. So public pension, unemployment insurance, health insurance, long-term care insurance, all of this is paid 50-50 with your employer. So he has to pay even more, and you get about half or 3/4, depending on the income that you already have, but you only get a fraction. The government pockets the rest. So let's see what we can do to have this a little more efficient. All right? Should have been enough time for you to get a payslip, then let's go. In case you want more details, because we're only focusing on increasing net today. So in case you want more details, there's videos here on this YouTube channel explaining absolutely everything. The payslip, taxes, social security, how bad German public pension is, and what you can do to get better pensions, and public versus private health insurance. So let's not waste any time on this today. There's already everything that can be said is already explained. Those are one of the most popular videos up today, by the way. So it seems to be there's a huge demand, and apparently there's nobody explaining it to you guys, which is a shame. So for tip number 1, I will probably burn in hell for telling you this. You can leave the church. You can see here. How does this work? Here. You can see your confession, and here you can see how much you're here, and here you can see how much you're paying in church tax, of course. So no religious advice, right? Just straight up financial advice. So when you pay, depending on where you live, you pay either 8% or 9% in church tax on top of your income tax. Right? So we can see already from this payslip that Heinz lives either in Bavaria or in Baden-Württemberg, because out of his 485 euros in income tax, he has to pay 38 euros in church tax, which is only 8%. And you can save on this. So you can save like 8 or 9% in taxes you pay, which is already quite big, right? How do you do this? You just sign a church deregistration, basically. Depending on where you live, when I exited here in Munich, I went to the local court to exit. But it could also be that you have to go to Standesamt, so the registry office, or maybe to your city council, or depends on where you live. Not very clear who does this. Just you can Google it though. You can just Google it. That's why I brought you the German names here too. You can just Google your city and Kirchenaustrittserklärung, so church registration, and then you'll see where you have to go. You'll save some money once you so this costs a little. This costs like, I think I paid $40 or something in order to exit the church. But it's very easy calculation, right? After like 2 months or something, you broke even already, and then you make some money. If you want to do something with the church, like have a baptism or marry or something in the church, then you might want to wait a little, because all of these services, you can do them, of course. You can also re-enter the church if you like, but then you have to pay. So if I would marry in a church right now, then I would need to pay, right? Because I don't pay church tax. So benefit number one, or tip number one, depends on your income, of course, right? The higher your income, the higher your benefit. But for us, it's 12 times 38 euros, so 466 bucks saved already. Every single year, more net income in your pocket. That's pretty good, right? It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. Next, you can see here the red area. Heinz doesn't get it, the capital forming benefits. And that's actually no wonder. A lot of Germans don't even know that this one exists. Somebody's excited about 466 euros as well. Cool. So, unfortunately, not a lot of Germans know that this VWL, so VWL in German short form for capital forming benefits, exists, which is a big shame. Why does it exist? Because the average German saves only 100 euro per month. And that's not a lot. And that's not a lot by a long shot. We would need to save a lot more in order to not be poor going forward. So the state thought of something to motivate us to save, and who we can save with. And of course, the employer comes into play here. So the employer is helping you to save money going forward, a maximum of 40 euros per month. The exact amount depends on your company. I've seen lately a lot of companies who pay like 28 or something. Not sure where this number is coming from, but whatever. Just ask your boss or your HR department how much you can get. Possibly you can get 0 as well. So there's no legal right for capital forming benefits. This is kind of a goodie from your employer. So be happy when you get it. Usually, these contracts last 7 years. So you kind of contribute 6 years and then you chill for 1 year and then you get a new one. And you have these options, what you can do with it. If you bought a property here already in Germany, doesn't matter if it's an investment or a home, your employer can pay these 40 bucks directly to the bank that you financed with, which is pretty cool. So your boss is helping you to pay off your real estate loan. Problem is, that doesn't work with every bank. So that's why our tip is always, don't finance with the bank around the corner who might give you the best interest rate. Choose a good bank that maybe doesn't have the lowest interest rate. Maybe you pay 0.1% more. There's kind of a market range anyway. But choose a bank that gives you a lot of options when financing real estate. For example, that when you change employers or you go to your boss tomorrow and say, give me my capital forming benefits, that you can use it for your property loan. Might be much better than the other options for you. Much better than this, of course. Maybe you heard of this before, Bausparvertrag. It's kind of like a savings contract for a future real estate dream. It absolutely sucks these days. It may have been good in the past, maybe, not sure. But definitely not right now. Definitely not right now. It's based on interest rate, and you know as well as I do where interest rate is. It's 0, so it's usually a big waste of money. This might be much better. Everybody watching from India, you may have an SIP, systematic investment plan, something like this. A regular brokerage account where you just save in mutual funds and ETFs. Pretty straightforward. Only downside to this is you cannot combine it with a private brokerage account. So if you have a private brokerage account already, probably when you open a video, you get these advertisements every single time. So don't have to tell you who they are. Not combinable. It has to be a separate brokerage account. And last but not least, I told you you have no legal right to capital forming benefits. You do have a right, though, to a company pension with at least 15% employer match. That's 15%. And you can combine it, your company pension with capital forming benefits. Not sure what to tell your employer when you want a company pension? Let us know. We'll help you out. Every employee in Germany has a right to a company pension. And if your employer says you can't get one, then he should read the law. Which investment possibility is best? I don't know. Which one's worst? Bausparvertrag. That's for sure, the second one. But which one's best? Depends on your income, depends on your goals, depends on your personal and your financial situation. Figure it out or let us know and we'll help you out to find the best way for you. One thing's for sure, we're saving another 480. Getting there. Almost 1K. What do you think we'll end the 5 tips with? Next, you can see Heinz does it wrong again. He should really join the seminar. He really doesn't get it. So here's this red is the company car, and here's company car 2. And everything that I'm talking about now, these non-cash benefits, would be this green one. So Heinz really doesn't get it. How do you claim the capital forming benefit? Just ask your boss or your HR department. The guys you get your payslip from, basically. I told you that if your boss increases your salary, it's taxed and you have to pay Social Security, and your boss too, and it's super inefficient. Same is with cash benefits. So not salary increase, but cash benefits. By the way, your 4K is pretty damn close. Pretty damn close. Good job, Akshay. And geldwerter Vorteil, so basically cash benefits, is here, like a company car. And you can see he gets it here, but here it's deducted again. So all these Social Security and tax you have to pay. So inefficient again. What we're talking about now are non-cash benefits. They are completely free of Social Security and of tax, up to 44 bucks. That's the maximum. 1 cent more and everything has to be taxed and everything you have to pay Social Security on, right? So maximum 44 euros. What can you get it for? Vouchers is option 1. Food vouchers, get for the gas station, for public transport, for books, for a German course, whatever. You can also get 500 euros for health promotion, so everything that keeps you healthy and makes you basically more productive, right? So stress relief, the gym. Many people I talk to have like a gym membership through the employer and they don't pay anything for it. Massages, whatever. And last but not least, and that's why the child is here, childcare. If your child is not in school, so here's very strict rules. This is only possible if your child is not in school and if your employer doesn't offer a company kindergarten, because then it's basically off the table. And then there are certain rules. So I brought you here kindergarten, daycare, nanny. It's not, what does not work is one spouse is working, one spouse is at home watching the children, and then basically you get money for this for your employer. That doesn't work. It has to be a real institution. Taking care of your child at home doesn't cost. So there's nothing your employer can do. Also not in school, right? So it has to be kindergarten age. And third, you have to get invoices. So you really have to pay for the childcare. I know there's some towns or villages or districts or wherever where childcare is for free, so you don't pay for kindergarten. If that happens, you can't get anything from your boss, right? I mean, he would pay for childcare, but you don't pay for it. So that's not how it works. You really have to pay for a service, and then you can get kind of reimbursed. Everything works, basically, as long as you have a good relationship with your boss and can talk with him, as long as you cannot exchange the voucher or whatever you're getting for cash. This would be illegal, because then we're talking about cash benefits again. At least try to get an Amazon voucher or something that is intended for books, and then nobody controls what you buy for it. Or get a gas station voucher, and then instead of petrol, you just buy vodka because your job is so horrible. Whatever. You get what I'm saying, right? Any idea how car allowance works as compared to company car? This is a very detailed tax question, and not sure to be honest. This is before I say something wrong, this would be very good for a tax advisor. I don't want to do I don't want any misleading information out there here. What are the consequences of opting out of the church tax? Any bad consequences when you are done with benefits? Well, there's certainly one big bad consequence. As soon as when you exit the church and you walk into a church for the first time after you stop paying church tax, you basically go up in a ball of flames because you're a sinner. The only bad consequences I know is that you maybe you can't marry at all churches, because sometimes, in all honesty though, sometimes these pastors, they hate you for exiting church tax, kind of, so they don't allow you to marry there, but sometimes, and all the services that a church taxpayer would get for free, you would have to pay for it. But I'm not sure how much this would cost, to be honest. A marriage is expensive anyway, so you saved a lot in church tax before, so you can probably pay for it. Another $500. There must be something big coming, huh? If we reach the 4K that Akshay was telling us about. And there is certainly a big one coming now. Tax declaration. I get it. It's super annoying. It's not mandatory. All these complicated numbers and complicated rules, and I get it. I hate it too. That's why I have my own tax advisor. But do one. Really, do one. It will be worth it. You'll see in a minute. Just one thing before doing tax investments, or whatever people call it, spending money for tax reasons, is often very, very misunderstood. So let's clear this first. before you go out now after this webinar and basically spend all the money that you can on tax deductible things, because it's not worth it. Let me tell you why. Let's say you spend €1 on something that would be tax deductible. So you can put it in your tax declaration. Meaning you put this €1 in your tax declaration, and this you will get your personal tax rate back, which is up to 42%. For usually, if you make more than $250,000, it's 45%. But it's not going to be more. 45 is the maximum. Until we vote a leftist government later this year, then not sure where it will be. But up to now, it's 45%. Let's say 42, because who makes $250,000, right? Let's say 42. Meaning that you still had 58 cents in real cost. You just get 42% back. It's not like you get €1 back if you spend €1. You only get your tax rate back. So spending money on something that just because it's tax deductible is insanely stupid, because you still have real costs. Right? Basically see it as there's a 42% discount or something, but it's never free. It's never free. So it kind of has to make sense for you to spend it, right? I like tax deductions too. I hate paying taxes. I get it. Everyone does. But just blindly spending something does make sense. Okay? I think I opted out of the church tax, Kirchensteuer. Is that what you're talking about? I'm not sure that it would have costed me €400 per year, but then again, I'm not making that much. Yeah. So it's 8 or 9% of what you pay in income tax. So the more you earn, the more your benefit will be. Here we have this $466 because we have a person earning roughly 5K per month. Will there be a recording? Yes, this will stay on the YouTube channel. So, what is tax deductible? Now that we cleared basically the myth that you just should spend random money on things, let's see what is tax deductible. And the logic is for all of them the same. Now you will see different categories of things, but the logic's always the same. Finanzamt wants to support you. That's our tax office, by the way. Finanzamt wants to support you in making more money, right? So if you spend money in order to make more money, then it's tax deductible. Why? Because you will pay more taxes in the future. And that's what Finanzamt wants. They want you to pay as much taxes as possible, right? So for example, I did some stuff for the business 3-4 weeks ago. And all of the stuff that I spend for the business is tax deductible because I spend it in order to grow the business. And government says if this guy spends money, invests in the business, he probably will make more money, so he will pay more taxes. We like more taxes, so give him some benefit. Okay? Biggest one is advertising cost, Werbungskosten in Germany. And this is by far the biggest one. There's also no maximum. So there's also minus possible, by the way. That's why investing in real estate can make sense, because even though you make money and your real estate appreciates in value and you get rental income, you basically calculate yourself poor and you make a loss with your real estate investment, just a tax loss, because your advertising costs are so high. What else can you do? Travel to work. You can write job applications, right? If you write job applications for a better job, you make more money, so government supports you there. You can make a German course, because that might get you a better job too. So you make more money, government likes this. You can buy a laptop, whatever. Lots of stuff. As long as you can prove it that you bought it in order to make money, it's kind of fine. At the end of the day, there's one clerk sitting at Finanzamt and saying yes or no. So there's no generally right or wrong. It depends on the person who's reviewing your tax declaration, if any. right? I think they review every 20th tax deduction or something. So, but don't commit tax fraud. It's not worth it, really. Not worth it to go to jail for a couple of euros. And also for the laptop, if this one is more than 900 euros, 800 something, I think is the real number, then you kind of have to depreciate it over 3 years. So if you buy a laptop for 900 years, you can write off 300 euros for 3 years. It doesn't work in the first year, so you can't buy a laptop every year and write it off completely. Doesn't work, unfortunately. Next are special costs, Sonderausgaben. This is where your health insurance goes in, and public pension goes in, and other pensions that you might have. So pensions level 1 and 2, church tax, right? Except Eagle Eye, who doesn't pay church tax anymore, but everybody else can put it in here. Then there's household services, haushaltsnahe Dienstleistungen in German. So basically, if you get a craftsman for something, usually about 20% of the invoices are tax deductible. And then last but not least, any exceptional costs you might have in German, außergewöhnliche Belastungen. If you have medication, you can try to get it in there. If you have bought new glasses or got a new tooth, you can always try to get it in there. The higher your income, again, the less likely it's gonna work. So if you make 1 million each year and say, I bought glasses for 100 euro and now you want them deducted from your taxes, that's probably not gonna work. Is it true that in Germany cryptocurrency are exempt of taxes if one holds them for more than 1 year? That's what I heard too. Not sure if it's true. Maybe somebody in chat knows, but that's what I heard as well, yeah. Like real estate. If you hold real estate for 10 years, you can sell it tax-free, right? And that's what I heard for crypto as well. That's some motivation, right? To do a tax declaration. So how do you do it? There's tons of software out there. Some are even available in English. So you can do it yourself, and they're usually pretty cheap. Problem that I see is you don't know what you don't know. So how do you know what to type in, how to type it in, and etc.? Not even I would know. I've never done a tax declaration my entire life. I always hired someone to do it for me. When I was still an employee, I went to Lohnsteuerhilfeverein, so kind of this tax association. This works as long as you are employed. They will help you. Maybe I heard they have very long waiting lists because the demand is so high and there's just not a lot of people. And if you want a really professional guy to do taxes for you, then there's no way around a professional tax advisor. Just one tip. Choose one that is paid according to law. So our tax advisor, for example, he's paid according to law. So depending on how much you make, he gets a commission. There's like lawyers too. There's other tax advisors who get paid by the hour who don't apply to the law, and they can charge whatever. So just be careful, ask them up front, how do you get paid? Because if they get paid by the hour and they charge, I don't know, 250 euros per hour, then you will probably pay more for the tax declaration than you get money back. Tax advisor is also tax deductible, by the way. All of them. The software, tax association, you know, they all want money. It's all tax deductible. So you get some back. Why 1K? Because 9 out of 10 people get 1,000 euro back. So this seems to be the average, which is pretty cool. How much would Heinz pay? Well, how much does Heinz make? Let's say 5K per month, right? So this would be 60 roughly. Couple €100, 300, 500, something below 1K. That's for sure. I think something like 300, 500 maybe, something around that range. Half of that may be with the tax association, and the software is usually below $50, depending on how, not depending on how much you make. They really don't care. So one tip left, and we kind of got 2K or a lot of money to go, right? I can also tell you, this is 2021 is a record-breaking year, because usually this filing a tax declaration was the last tip, because it was the most valuable tip. But now, since we have this record-breaking year, 2021, there's a new tip that gives you even more money than filing a tax declaration. And now you're probably sitting at home thinking, oh wow, this must be a cool tip, and it's time to celebrate that there's a tip giving you more than this. But unfortunately, it's this tip, changing your health insurance, because 2021 is the first year where you can potentially pay more than 10,000 euros per year in public health insurance. We did it, guys. We did it. Public health insurances now can charge more than 10K per year. And of course, if they charge that amount of money, small changes can go a long way, right? Should one do the tax declaration as a working student? Yeah, sure. So as a student, you have a lot of costs, right? You maybe pay for tuition and books and etc. And you have a lot of costs, but you don't make a lot income. And the perfect thing about is that these Werbungskosten here, I told you can go into the minus. So as a student, depending on how much you make, of course, as a working student, but as a student, it's actually super easy to go into the minus and basically say to Finanzamt, I made a huge loss. My studies cost so much and I don't make that much. So you basically don't start a year at zero like every one of us who can't go into the minus. We start our year with zero. And then we earn throughout the year, and then we calculate ourselves poor with the tax declaration. But as a student, you can do this pretty easily to start in the minus. And then if you study for, 3-4 years, you suddenly start to work and you are 2,000 euros in the minus already. And then you're not taxed on this, of course, right? So I would advise, how about using Elster? Can a beginner use it? Elster is the program designed by Finanzamt itself, and it looks like it was designed by Finanzamt itself. So if you can do it, go ahead. I certainly couldn't. It's a very, the problem for Elster, or the difference between Elster and all these online software is that this online software is actually pretty intuitive, because it's made for employees to do their taxes. Elster is made so that everybody can do their taxes. Employees can do it. Alex, as a working student, can do it. The company BMW can do it. And of course, a tax declaration for BMW looks way different than for you, Samar. And that's why Elster is so complicated. But if it works for you, hey, all the power to you, go ahead. Crypto tax, we had this kind of already, not sure. And I don't want to spread any misinformation here. So health insurance, you kind of have this, here's your health insurance. So here's your health insurance name. And here's how much you pay for health insurance in percentage. We'll come to this in a minute. And then you have here health insurance and here long-term care insurance, and they're always connected, right? You always have both. If you are public health insurance, then you are in public long-term care insurance, and if you're private health insurance, then you're private long-term care insurance. And the same here again. This is the same then, health insurance and long-term care insurance. And either public or private are mandatory, right? I know some people come here with their travel insurances that may be good as if you're a student. I don't know. I also had trouble with students being in travel insurance, but whatever, if you come here starting maybe with a travel insurance might be fine, right? But once you're an employee, it's time to get a real health insurance. So either a German public insurance or a German private health insurance. And then you have two options. Option one is staying in the public system. I know there's a lot of myths and rumors and fears about private, and not everybody can do it, right? So I wanted to bring two options or something to work on for both parties. So if you are public now and you are forced in public, you cannot go to private, or you want to stay in public, go ahead, all power to you. You're still paying 14.6% of your gross salary. That's the legal requirement. Every public health insurance deducts this. But then, out of these roughly 100 public health insurances we have in Germany, they have a so-called additional contribution, which you can see is a huge range. It's 2.5%, right? So the most efficient public health insurance charges you 0.2 on top of your 14.6, and the least efficient health insurance charges you 2.7% on top of your 14.6, while the coverage is basically the same, right? The coverage for public health insurance is mandated by law, and they set the legal minimum, and usually all the public health insurances pay only the legal minimum. Why would they pay more, right? They would spend more money but just get the same. So basically for the same coverage, if you're in the least efficient public health insurance now, you pay 837 euros. And if you switch to the most efficient public health insurance, you pay 716, which is pretty good. Pretty good for basically the same service. You just save a lot of money. And then option two would be if you are self-employed, or if you make more than this threshold here of 64k, then you can go to private. But if you do, don't just switch for financial reasons. I know you can save a lot of money when you're young, etc., but there's a lot more that factors into this discussion if public or private's better for you, okay? First thing is age. The younger you are, the cheaper it is. So we already cleared another myth, actually, that getting an insurance later will save you money. No, it does not. It never does. It never does. Insurances are not stupid, right? When you pay earlier or longer into an insurance, you have to pay less than somebody else. They're not dumb. They're not dumb. Don't try to fool insurances. They're pretty smart. Second thing is health, and this is a big one, because private health insurance is the hardest to get. It's really, really the hardest to get. If you want disability insurance, for example, that protects your ability to work, and you have some problems with psyche or with a leg or with your back or something, they can exclude something. They can say, we cover you in case you get disabled, but we won't cover you if you get disabled because of your leg, for example. They can exclude body parts. Private health insurance can't. We cleared out another myth, actually, that they won't cover everything. No, that's not true. All private health insurances have to cover at least the legal minimum, same way public health insurance does. Okay? And if you're not healthy, then you're not getting this. They will just reject your application. That's the way that it is, unfortunately, guys. I know that's a shame for the individual wanting to get in private health insurance. I completely understand. But if you step into the shoes of the insurance or everyone who's already in private, if everybody would be accepted, then the price would just explode. This can't work. This is impossible. Right? Another thing is family. So if you plan to have at least 3 kids or more, then you would pay more in private. That's for sure, because in private everybody has their own contract, right? There's no family insurance. So if you plan to create your own football club with 11 children, then stay in public. And last but not least, location. So how do you see your life going forward? Do you want to stay in Germany? Do you want to leave Germany? So I talk to a lot of people who come to Germany for 2 years for a contract or for 5 years or something. And they come here, they make a good amount of money, they're young, they're healthy, and they leave again. And the government in public makes them pay for all the sick and old people. So we get a lot of them into private and they save a lot of money. You can go to applications like Coinly and import all the transactions from your exchange. Okay, we're talking about crypto here as well. What happens if I am over salary range now for private insurance and then later not in the salary range? That's the same for me as well, actually. I was above the salary range and going forward I won't be anymore. But I will stay. I will stay. Then you can basically choose. I could go back now, but that would be the stupidest idea ever. I will never go back to public. It's too inefficient for my taste. And once you enjoy the services of private so that I can call the doctor and get an appointment tomorrow, nobody ever wants to go back that I've met. So I will just stay in private. For private health insurance, income from my home country also consider in gross income limit. Ooh, Andrea, that's a really good question. That's a really good one. That's a really good one. And honestly, I don't know. Let's try to think about it. So one thing's for sure. If you're public wants 14.6% plus this additional contribution on anything that you earn, right? So if you get rental income, for example, you also have to pay public health insurance on that. Not private, only public. So question 1 is probably, is the income that you make in your home country, is this taxed here? If not, then you will probably leave. You should probably leave chat right now. I'm not going to say your name because when you are here more than 183 days, which is half a year and 1 day, your worldwide income is probably taxed here in Germany. And then you would have to pay public health insurance on it. I don't know. If you really want to go into private, I'll try to make it happen for you. If you let's say you make 60K here as an employee and 5K abroad, and Germany knows about it, and you're willing to maybe pay taxes here, and you really want to go into private, let me know. I'll try to make it happen for you. I've never had this. Would be really exciting to find out. how to find which public health insurance is efficient. You can just Google it. You can Google the additional contributions of all public health insurances are available online. I can try to find a link later if you remind me. I can change to a private health insurance at any time. Yeah. There's a 2 months transition period, but yeah, you can do every month. That's interesting. I thought one will be forced to be in public. Yeah, so for me it's a little different because I exited public Social Security right away, or anyway, I don't pay into Social Security because of my self-employment. But let's say you make 66 right now, and then because of Kurzarbeit or whatever, you make 64, 62 for a while, and you make 65 right now, and you're in you switch to private because now the threshold is 64, but next year the threshold would be 66 or 67 or something. Then you are below again, but you're not automatically forced back into public. If you do, you can, of course, you can use this so-called opportunity, but you're not forced. You can get like a statement from the insurance of you can be free of public. I get this letter for myself now as well. It's fine. So 1,452 euros just from option 1. I'm not even gonna factor in option 2 because in option 2 you can make a lot more money. But no, not everybody watching can go into private. And I'm not gonna say or show you any pretty numbers here. Let's just take the numbers that everybody can achieve. What happens when you retire if you have private health insurance? Will the state pay half of it, or you have to pay the full premium? The public pension will pay up to half of it, similar to when you retire in public health insurance. Kind of, the public pension will replace your employer when you go into retirement. Alright, that's the 5 tips. Let's come to some additional ones, where Finanzamt will hate me even more for telling you this. Finanzamt hates these tricks. So, have you heard of your tax-free capital gains already? Everybody can get at German banks or European German banks or German savings accounts or German brokerages or something. You can get 801 euro per year completely tax-free. Every child can do this too, right? Everyone with a tax ID. And have you heard the worst joke in Germany already? What's the difference between an adult and a child? Nothing. Both have a tax ID. So everybody can get it. And married couples can get twice as much, of course. You can also split it between banks. Next is also for married. Change your tax class. Clever. If your incomes differ a lot, like let's say more than 10%, then the high earning spouse should go to tax class 3, which is the best one. And the low earning spouse, or the spouse who doesn't work at all, should go to tax class 5, almost the worst one. There's 6, that's even worse, but it's 3 and 5. And if you kind of have the similar income, then you do 4 and 4. Now, this will not change the taxes you have to pay throughout the year. So I'm tax class 1 and I will pay the exact same as somebody in 3 or 5 at the end of the year, but throughout the year. So you will still have more net income month over month. But don't marry for tax purposes, okay? Don't do it. Marry strategically. So rather marry in December than in January, because if you marry in December, you get the tax benefits for the whole year. much better than marrying in January, but don't just marry for tax purposes. Divorce is a lot more costly than the tax benefits that you're getting. Huh? So if I go to private health insurance, can I switch back to public anytime? There's very strict rules when it comes to health insurance. And only if the rules apply for you to go to private, you're allowed to do this. And only if the rules don't apply anymore, then you're allowed to go back to public. But then again, I haven't met anybody who wanted to go back to public. There's maybe there's 32 people watching. Maybe you have a reason. Over the last 4 years since I've done this job, I haven't met anybody who gave me a real reason to go back to public. Third is company pension, right? I already told you about this in tip 1 with the capital forming benefits. You have a legal right to this. If your boss says no, or your HR department says no, then let me know. I'll explain them the law. If you want one, you'll get one. And you get at least a 15% employer match. That's what the law says, because your employer is actually saving money when you do a company pension, and he can't pocket it. He has to give it to you, of course, because it's your money. So usually what people do in a company pension on a maximum is these 3,312 euros, because for this you save Social Security and tax. And for 6,600 per year, you get the tax exemption. But that would be kind of a lot, right? That would be almost more than 500 euros per month already. Second to last tip, private pensions, level 1 and level 2. Everything that you contribute there will be tax-free, and all your savings. So if you choose a good pension company and a good pension tariff, good savings contract, then you can invest in mutual funds and ETFs, and you can switch them free of fees and free of any taxes. And basically your money will grow inside this pension until you take it out in retirement. So we're talking about a decades of growth without paying any tax. And last tip, how is marriage in December better than in January? Could you please explain? Yes, when you marry in December, so marriage will get you tax benefits, almost certainly. And when you marry in December, you get tax benefits always for the full year. So even though you're only married in December for a couple of days, you still get the tax benefits for the whole year. And if you marry a couple of days later in January, then the whole year is gone. Because taxes is always from January 1 to December 31st. And then after that, it's gone. New year, new beginning. Thank you for watching, Tamil. Okay, last but not least, last tip for today. We got 9 tips already and saved almost 4K. Here's the last tip. Buying real estate, but only as an investment, not as a home. We're not in the US. In the US, I know homeowners get tax benefits too. They get state bonuses, they get tax benefits, they get whatever. Not in Germany. In Germany, the German state doesn't care how you live or I live. The German state only cares if you provide a home for somebody else. Right? And with real estate, if you buy it as an investment, you get these advertising costs, these Werbungskosten, that can be absolutely huge. You have your interest rate that you pay the bank, you have a management, you have ground tax, you have the notary, you have a real estate agent, you have depreciation. There's so much in costs to calculate yourself poor. It's actually incredible. If you want more info about this, we just started our Real Estate in Germany series like a couple of weeks ago. And every second or third week on this channel here, we tell you a step-by-step guide how to buy real estate here. Pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about this, and the viewers numbers are looking pretty damn good up today. Pretty damn good. And thanks to you guys, because you were watching, and you were watching a lot of these videos, on these real estate videos. It took us 2 weeks to reach search spot 1 if you type in real estate in Germany in YouTube. Pretty cool. Thank you very much. I didn't expect this. All right. That's the end. If there's any questions in chat now, let me know. I can stay on for a couple of more minutes, almost a little over 1 hour. We did pretty damn good here. We saw 5 tips and 5 bonus tips that save you more than 4K every single year if you do them right. And that's just 1 hour. We're all here. Just imagine what we can do when we're working together on a one by one basis. So if you're interested in this, and if you're interested to find a way to what to do with your 4K savings, feel free to book an appointment here. We can basically do everything for you except tax advice, right? Everything except tax advice. We're just doing personal financial advice based on your goals that you have, but everything oriented towards a better financial future. And taxes is always backwards, right? It's always what happened last year. And I like to work on the future instead of the past. So let's see. Thanks for the live. Yeah, sorry for joining late. One question related to pension. Sure. We don't have company pension. Does it make sense to go for other pension system even we are not sure whether we will stay here during our retirement? Sure. So if let's say if you're staying here more than 10 years, then it can make sense. Because there's pensions, there's pensions level 1, 2, and 3. There's also videos about this on the channel, but just very quickly, either you're fine with getting money from Germany every month. So, for example, I myself, not sure if I will retire in Germany. I don't like winter. I like summer, and I like beach, and Germany doesn't have a beach. So not sure if I will retire here, but I'm fine with the fact of getting money every month from a German pension. That's fine for me. If it's not fine for you, there's also other pensions level 3, where you can get a one-time payout of all your savings and then walk away and go back to your home country. Not a problem. As long as it's a private pension, they're all very flexible. The only pension that is not flexible is public pension, because they're the government and they just don't give a fuck. Can you please repeat the 9 tips again? Yes. Here. Your videos are really helpful. Thanks. Thank you for watching. Please see my... Okay. Yeah. All right. Cool. Then, thank you everybody for watching. I think this was the highest live stream we've done so far. We never had this many viewers. Pretty cool. Hopefully you learned something today for a better financial future. If we can help you along the way, let me know. See you again with the next video on Friday. And stay healthy, guys. Take care.